Washington.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I want to first briefly address what's happening in Ukraine. The Ukrainian people are being plunged into a deadly and devastating war. We are already seeing hundreds of thousands of refugees fleeing the destruction and leaving their lives behind. We've seen heartbreaking images of children huddled in basements. All of this tragedy for no other reason than the cruel ambition of one dictator. Make no mistake, every life lost, every community torn apart, the fault for this conflict lies solely at the feet of Vladimir Putin. I strongly support continued efforts to inflict severe sanctions on Russia for this unjustified war of aggression. Russia must pay a crushing price for invading a sovereign democracy unprovoked. This is a time for our country and the world to remain united in strong support of Ukraine and firmly against Putin. So today, I'm thinking of my constituents with friends and family and loved ones in Ukraine, and my heart is with the Ukrainian people who only want peace. I want them to know I will continue to do everything in my power to make sure the United States is doing its utmost to support the Ukrainian people. And now, Madam President, I want to address the vote that we are about to take. And I will start with a few simple questions for my colleagues. Do you trust women? Do you trust patients? Do you trust doctors? Do you believe every American should be able to make deeply personal decisions about pregnancy and parenting according to their own beliefs without the government interfering? Well, if you answer yes to those questions, then your job tonight is pretty easy. Vote for the Women's Health Protection Act. What this bill does is simple. It follows the Constitution and nearly a half a century of precedent and gives patients the right to get an abortion and doctors the right to provide abortion care, no matter where in America that patient or that doctor lives. Madam President, we might ask, well, why do you need a bill like this if the right's already in the Constitution? Sadly, we need this bill because too many extreme right-wing politicians, too many well-funded conservative interest groups, and too many conservative lawyers jammed into our judicial system at every level clearly do not trust women or patients or doctors. Now, you might say that assertion is unfair, but I'm looking at actions, not words. And here's what I see. In 2021 alone, Republican legislators across the country passed more than 100 abortion restrictions. In Texas, there's a law that's been in effect for nearly 6 months that bans abortion before women even know they're pregnant. And not only that, Texas has empowered citizens to sue one another personally for the, quote, crime of helping someone get an abortion or providing abortion care. The Supreme Court has already rubber-stamped this appalling divisive law, and there is a very real threat that in a matter of months, they will end the constitutional right to abortion in Roe v. Wade. Madam President, what Republicans like to say, if Roe v. Wade is gone, that abortions will end. Well, that's not true. Abortions will still happen. People will find a way, but many won't have safe options, and their health and even their lives will be at risk. Even more so than today, women who don't have the money or the time off or some other way don't have the means won't be able to get them. And this cruelty will fall hardest on women of color, women who have low incomes, women in rural parts of the country, and the LGBTQ community. To me and to many Democrats here today, that's just so wrong. A person's ability to make the right decision for themselves about pregnancy and parenting shouldn't only be available to the rich or depend on what zip code you live in. Unfortunately, that is the future the Republican Party wants for America. But, Madam President, it is not what Democrats want, and it's certainly not what my constituents in Washington State want, and it is actually not what the vast majority of Americans across the country want either. Madam President, sometime in the next few months, we will very likely see an historic reversal of a fundamental right Americans have known for nearly 50 years, regarding one of the most personal decisions any individual can make, a right generations of women and Americans have grown up on, depending on, and want to see it protected. Madam President, that means that this vote tonight is historic as well. This is each senator's chance to stand up for an individual's right to decide what to do with their own body and their own future. Tonight, the Democratic position is clear. We trust women and patients, and we believe that Roe should be the law of the land. I hope Senate Republicans vote with us, but if they don't, make no mistake, 72 million Americans of reproductive age today may soon lose a constitutional right every generation has known since Roe was decided in 1973. And if they do, they're going to know exactly who's responsible, the Republican Party. I yield the floor.
The clerk will call the roll.